and welcome to the Filmsteins podcast, a podcast where we are challenged with trying to articulate a love for art and storytelling. Today I am joined by my meat-loving friend, Lucy.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm glad everybody could join us because today we will be discussing Bong Joon-ho's first film from year 2000, Barking Dogs Never Bite. I always have sort of a reservation to watch directorial debuts because they tend to not be very good. But I'm happy to report back that I was quite pleased with Barking Dogs Never Bite. I will say my first big takeaway from the film is it's very ugly. Colors are very ugly. Lighting is atrocious. Even maybe some of the action and blocking. But other than that, I can't really tell you how into this film I was. I never thought I would laugh at someone throwing a dog off a building. Never thought that was going to happen in my life. But it was pretty funny. A lot of this film is pretty funny. But I think my favorite thing about this film is how low-key it is and truncated. It's almost like we have three subplots happening all at the same time and them connecting in different ways at different times. I love our main character who is kind of just waiting for his professorship, his big moment to have a full-time gig, and how the film is kind of resting on the backbone of his stress. You know, he goes around and deals with two dogs, gets a dog of his own, and of course we get a nice little twist with him and his wife, her being let go and having a severance pay to bribe his way into a professorship. This very familiar kind of desire for fame, for ostensibly nothing, you know, just having your moment on camera and seeing where it takes you, much like the Haktua girl, maybe. And that being kind of taken away from the main girl who works in the office by her friend. We have that janitor who's eating the dogs, and obviously the great Byung Hee Bong, where we're kind of waiting for him to get his just desserts, right? And then we get another twist of another man also partaking in the delicacy of dog. They're geniusly woven together. They're also low-key, and I love that they revolve around the apartment in their entirety. From top to bottom, from the basement to the roof, right? There's a lot of excellent work here, and I'm very curious how you feel about Bong Joon-ho's first film.
Yeah, I'm not mad at what I saw either. The film had a very clear and concise premise. How do people behave under pressure, right? I like this idea of taking an idiom, barking dogs never bite, or I guess more colloquially to us, the bark is worse than the bite, or all bark and no bite. There's this comparison with someone's loudness to their actual behaviors and finding out it's just insecurities. There's people who act all tough, but that toughness is only exercised on the weak, the dogs. I like that. That's very interesting. And look, I'm all for dark humor. I really am. I find a lot of it hilarious. But this movie was on the verge of too much for me. It's no secret I'm a sensitive soul, especially to animals. And I'm kind of torn because the animal cruelty here could have been a turnoff. But I like how he uses it. I like this indicator of a correlation between how people treat animals to how they're feeling. But I think the biggest turnoff with the animal cruelty here is that it might have actually been animal cruelty. I know he had a disclaimer in the beginning of the movie, but I don't buy it. No doggies were harmed in the making of this film. I don't know, because there were several scenes that looked like the doggies were being harmed. Or maybe not harmed, but hurt. There's a slight difference there. Like that one scene with the dog that was being buried, but obviously that dog was still breathing, so they didn't use a prop dog. They used the real breathing animal, pretending it's dead, and still piling dirt on top of it, which I don't know. That was hard for me to watch. And I get it if something like this doesn't land, because seeing this kind of mistreatment of animals can make it hard to have any sympathy towards our main character. And that seems to be a little important here, at least just to understand where his frustration and his aggression is coming from. And you really do have to take all this as a symbol, because if you don't, it just really makes him seem evil, which is not the point of the film. The movie also had some surreal elements sprinkled throughout it that made me kind of question what was happening in those moments. I guess one of the ones that come to mind is when he finally lands the job and he's all drunk and he has this interaction with the girl when he confesses, or tries to confess, because he's a coward, tries to confess that he was the one that she was chasing, and there were like a group of women all in white also running, and I got thrown off. I was like, wait, what is happening? Is that just a coincidence that they're running? I don't know, right? It's a film. Nothing's just a coincidence, at least like that. So I didn't get those moments, and there were a few others. Maybe when he was telling that creepy story, I didn't get the point of the creepy story. But we do have some really interesting characters in the movie that I liked. We have our main guy, Yoon-ju and his wife, the girl Park and her best friend, the janitor, the homeless guy, and the grandma. I don't quite know how I feel about Jun-yu's character, since he's sort of our protagonist, or antagonist, I don't know, however you want to look at it. I don't really like him, but I don't know if I'm supposed to like him at any point of the movie. I don't think I am, because he doesn't really have any kind of growth, but more of an illusion of growth. And I'm real interested to see if you got the same vibe, or if there was some clear growth I was missing. And I do like what you said about the 3 subplots going on, but I also had a hard time understanding the relationship between these characters and how it fits into the overall theme of frustration and power, especially with the janitor and the homeless man. The film had some pacing issues for me. There were some scenes that lasted a little too long. They were dragged on a little bit. I agree with you 100% about this movie not looking so pretty. But the film was okay. I enjoyed it to some degree. Probably will never watch it again. The plot is definitely very memorable. It's got some layers. It's very solid, especially with the ending. But there was something missing. Is it that it was a debut film? Was it the dogs being heard? Or did I need a more satisfactory ending from all my characters?
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot connecting these people outside of their impoverished lives, all being members of this apartment. And what really connects these people, the dogs, there's this obvious, right out of the gate, kind of poking and prodding of American perception, or at least maybe Western perception of Korea, and Koreans eating dogs.
So Bong Joon-ho starts making fun of Americans right off the bat.
Absolutely.
I like that.
And it's one of these great ironic things that's kind of self-satisfying and maybe self-evident, that a lot of people to this day believe Koreans eat dogs. Yet the presence of this film is making fun of that perception, only kind of proving the fact that that's not true.
And ironically, to the people who think that, it's proving to them that they do, because I saw it in this movie.
Yeah, because this isn't overtly a comedy.
Right.
Which is cool, because obviously if you're going to eat a dog, you are impoverished, severely impoverished, because the cultivation of dog doesn't make any sense. There's not meat on a dog, compared to everything that we domesticate and engineer to be, juicy and fat and beautiful. And Bong Joon-ho making fun of that perception is funny in its own right, but it's especially funny that Bong Joon-ho comes out of the gate with that point, because the thing that people think they know about Korea is, or maybe Asia at large, is they eat dogs. And it's such a kind of funny trifold of our perspective on a dog, on an animal, because we have the individual who can't stand it and it's frustrating and they need to get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the person who wants to save it. You know, how many people want to foster that animal when they see it on TikTok or whatever, on Facebook? How many people get upset when they see animals get abused?
How many people want to die when their animal has died? Like the grandma.
How many people see other animals, not necessarily dogs, but think, maybe this is just me, but I'd like to eat that.
That's just you. That's just you, my friend.
So this is a kind of funny play on perspective of animals here that weave in and out of each other. I want to say flawlessly, but I'm not sure. Because I think the pacing was really excellent. I love that our so-called main character kills this dog that can't even bark.
Oh my gosh,
It's hilarious.
That was not hilarious. I felt so bad when I read it.
And that puts our main girl on her mission of like, this is weird. And then another dog goes missing and she's like, I got to play the hero. And this puts Park Hyun-nam, the girl who works at the administration office of the apartment.
Yeah, like some bookkeeping.
Yeah. Puts her on super edge. She starts to get on our main character's case. She's an arm length away from him. The tension is awesome.
Yes.
And then the next scene, or shortly after, our main character, the guy, gets his own dog. His wife brings home a dog, and we've just seen this man kill 2 dogs. Ostensibly. One, I guess he left in a closet and it died of whatever, and then he threw the other one off the building. Which, how he stole the one he threw off the building by tricking that old woman with coconuts or whatever those were. It looked kind of like jicama. And he just snatched the dog and ran. It was awesome.
I don't know about awesome.
And then our main girl spots him from across the building. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, the tension that he creates there, that anxiety as a audience member is pretty insane. Because often in film, we don't really want to know, right? We don't want to be told something. But in this film, we know who everyone is, what everyone is responsible of doing. Yet, he still manages to beautifully create this tension to keep us at the edge of our seats.
And it's that dramatic irony and the, I think, character irony between everyone not knowing the full picture, right? The girl doesn't know what the guy's done. The guy doesn't know how to tell the girl. The guy's worried that his missing dog is now maybe on someone's plate.
Exactly.
The girl doesn't know that the janitor's eating dogs, right? And kind of to your point of our main character, our main guy, being redeemable, likable, whatever. I don't know if any of these guys are really likable.
Park is.
Yeah, more than anyone else, I guess. Maybe her friend too, right? There's kind of this moment with our main guy kind of revealed to himself and revealed to us that we shouldn't stress so much. When his wife finally kind of, I guess, came clean of being fired, having a severance of 10,000 plus to pay for the bribe, and things were kind of looking like they might be okay. You almost wanted to smack the guy in the back of the head of like, see, you didn't need the stress this much.
And see, that's where I had the most issues, because to me, that was an obvious sort of redemption point for him to grasp that, for him to grasp that. But he still stays stressed. He still doesn't admit.
What's kind of the point, right? These people who are perpetually stressed over potentially good things occasionally, they never seem to really let go of the stress. They're always hung up on something to a destructive point.
Yeah, yes, and I guess maybe that's an issue I had with the movie, not necessarily that the movie had an issue, because it kept that. This character had that illusion of growth, and no, he's still stressed. We can clearly see it when he gets the job at the end and he's still not happy. And maybe I wanted him to learn something from this.
Yeah, nothing really changes with our characters because even our main girl, Park, she doesn't even have her 5 seconds of fame on the news, right? She's, I guess, being let go. She has to find another job. I guess that's maybe a good thing.
Yeah, and she does go on her hike at the end with her best friend.
Sure. Our janitor doesn't get any justice. I'm not sure if he deserves it, to be honest. He found these dead dogs, right? These 2 dead dogs, but the homeless guy, I guess, did snatch someone else's dog.
He did kidnap dog down. Yes.
I maybe would have added, I'm not sure if we got it, but I maybe would have added a couple minutes of our janitor guy, with a sweat bead of they just missed me kind of thing.
Well, they interview him.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And he's snitching and saying, yeah, those delinquents. I don't know what he's saying, but
he was living under the basement.
Yes, there's an issue at large here, which there is.
Well, yeah, I mean, probably shouldn't have homeless under the apartment. That's an issue in its own right, I guess.
Also, like that the homeless guy kept stealing his food.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
That was awesome.
Yeah, as far as those surrealistic kind of moments, there were quite a few of them, actually. I'm not sure what they added up to, if anything at all, except that ending one feels a little more symbolic with the ladies in white running by. I'm not sure what that meant, but even some of the camera work, like when Park was seeing the main guy toss the dog off, just the way that was caught, when the main guy was in the mist and he loses his dog, and maybe even when Park's friend tackles the guy, there's like this kind of heroic vibe and score maybe to no end. Like it's almost like the camera's already there. I guess she has a moment, doesn't she, where she's dreaming about the fame. I will add too, speaking of it, the soundtrack, pretty weak. It kind of stuck out in an awkward way. It almost kind of felt like a Silent Hill kind of soundtrack, which if it would have embraced that a little bit more, that may have been kind of cool. Maybe helping elevate the potential perception of the surrealistic nature of people of poverty.
How do you think this film would fly today if it was remade? Maybe, better cinematography and score, but keeping those same elements, keeping the same animal cruelty, the same heightened tension, the anxieties, the insecurities. Do you think it would be more controversial than it probably already is or was?
I mean, probably, just because you wouldn't be able to treat animals like that anymore. I would imagine even in Korea that their movie laws and protections probably protect more animals more safely, which would definitely hurt the remake of this film, because that's kind of funny. That's
essentially the point, though.
Well, yeah, but like you were saying, there's actually a few moments where it looked like the dog may have actually got hurt, but,
But, well, today you could CG that or use prop dogs. Props are so awesome now.
Sure, especially burying him and hanging him. You could make a little harness for him and it wouldn't hurt him and stuff. He steps on him, of course, and yanks him. And
he does kick him. Oh, man, he did.
It's so funny in the context of it, but of course, if you saw that in real life, you'd be like, what the heck, dude?
Yeah.
I feel like this movie begged for a remake, to be honest. You could maybe dive a little deeper into these people's lives. Just a little bit. Maybe a little 10 minutes more with each of them. It's 30 minutes, I guess, but maybe 10 minutes with at least our main two, and then a little bit more texture with our janitor guy. I mean, if Bong Joon-ho is going to make Mickey 17 quality films, I would rather him just go back and remake stuff now at this point.
Yeah, I don't think a movie like this would fly now. Especially with, as a society, how obsessed we've become with our pets. Because I think there's already people now who don't want to watch this film because of that. But I'm with you. I think it should, especially with what you said in the beginning about this perception of South Korea and Asia. Maybe we do need to bring this back because 25 years later, those things are still being said.
They're eating our pets.
They're eating our pets.
Well, apparently on the Wikipedia, it says that the plot was inspired by Bong Joon-ho's childhood experience of finding a dead puppy on the top of a building, and this left a strong impression on him, and he was scared that the security guards would eat it. So...
Oh.
I guess regardless, the idea of someone eating a dog is kind of funny. But alright, man, well, thank you for talking about this movie and watching it with me.
You're welcome.
Do you have a budget guess?
Yeah, for a debut film, I'm going $1 million, if that.
Well, it says here that it was about $800,000.
Ooh.
So you're in that pocket. Good job.
Thank you.
And in the box office, it went on to make $45,000. It had a very limited release.
Oh, wow.
And it's obviously become a classic because Bong Joon-ho is becoming a household name. And over on Letterboxd with 44,000 people, they weighed in at a 3.5.
A 3.5? That's not bad at all. I think I'm giving this film a 2.5, but I really have to reassess where I stand on my Bong Joon-ho films. Because I gave Mickey 17 also a 2.5.
Mm-hmm. You like him for different reasons.
I do like him for different reasons.
I think I would say this is a more successful film, but it's also just much tinier. It's very low-key and doesn't have a lot on the table, except a juicy, glazed dog. Every film Bong Joon-ho does is really something, if not really excellent or has some kind of charm that really elevates it above most films. But I would say none of them are really equivalent, you know?
Yeah, it looks like I gave Snowpiercer a higher score, so I really need to reassess where I stand on all these films, because, yes, they're all good for various reasons. Although I'm 100% on what my favorite one is.
Yeah, me too, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. But Barking Dogs Never Bite is a solid 2.5. It almost wants to be a 3 in my head, but there is a amateurness here that is too ugly to ignore, I guess. But thank you again for talking about this film, and thank you guys for listening to this episode of The Filmistines. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Remember, we post every Wednesday and Friday with brand new episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Patreon. Please come subscribe. Our next free episode will be on The Pianist with Adrian Brody.
Oh, does he play the piano?
Please look forward to that. Which dog do you think tastes the best?
Hot dogs.
Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas on our Patreon as well. Please come subscribe. Come request a movie on our Patreon. We appreciate all the support. Thank you guys very much. But until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Filmistines. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed the discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives on the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/filmistines. And follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching and keep loving the magic of movies. This is The Filmistines, signing off.